Good day, everybody. Matthew from Captive Audience Comics here again. We're coming at you today with the other portion of the CGC unboxing that we didn't get covered in the previous video. And if you haven't seen that video, you can check out the playlist. We have it in there for you. They didn't send everything in one shipment. Second shipment came in today. So we're going to do the unboxing of this one, which has a nice mix of stuff in it. Sometimes this happens, everything sends out at the same time, but it doesn't always come into the shop at the same time. So let's go ahead and take a look now. The box that came yesterday was a medium-sized box, and it didn't have the new bubble wrapped comics that we actually prefer. So hopefully this box will have the that new hard bubble wrapping in it, because it's much better in our opinion on the quality. And it isn't. So very strange that we got another box of cardboard ones, which is interesting because should have been bubble wrapped ones. So we'll take a look at these. We'll make sure that they're not damaged as we go through them here, and check them for everybody to make sure everything's going to be okay. So I guess we will just start from the top here and work our way down. Okay, let's get you guys onto our overhead cam view. Okay, ASM 300 direct edition in a 9.6. Let's see if we can't adjust this for you guys. I guess we'll just do this. There we go. That'll be okay. ASM 300 in a 9.6. Case is looking pretty good. Again, I don't believe there's any surprises in this box. Well, there's no grade surprises. There are a couple of unfortunate restoration books where people have done some tampering with them in the past. So we'll talk about them when we get to them. Daredevil Volume 2, Number 9 in a 9.8. The first appearance of Echo, Maya Lopez. And again, these are the new cases. Now, what's interesting is the other new cases that we've been seeing haven't had this thick sonic weld on them, which is interesting that this new case has gone back to that heavier sonic weld side. So it looks like CGC is still tinkering around with their slabbing process to hopefully make that better for you guys, the end customer. This is Amazing Spider-Man number 17 from 2023. This is the Eastside Comics John Jiang Virgin cover in a nice 9.8. This is a pretty cool cover. It was a MegaCon exclusive cover. Again, slab is in good condition. Heavy weld on the side. We haven't had any issues with the new slab design from a slab damage point of view. They aren't really any more secure than the other slabs they were having the problems with. But at least they're not, they're not cracking. Okay, Joker number 1. Joker number 1 from 1975 in a 9.0. And this one, it's got boxing or staining or discoloration. See, there, you can see it in there. You see all this yellowing discoloration in here. this is what kept that book from being a higher grade, because physically the book is in excellent condition, but you get that staining and foxing and discoloration is always going to cause a problem, obviously. Transformers #1 newsstand in a 9.4. Case looks good. Again, this has some color breaking creases on the spine. It has some cover wear, so you'll see in here there's cover wear there. I'll see if I can get it so you can see there's multiples color breaking. You can kind of just see it, yeah, right in there. Multiple slight color breaks along the spine, which is that along with that color rub is keeping that at a 9.4. I'd like to try to show you the flaws that CGC sees and where that's going to place your comics, because it's not always easy to get straight answers. So, Swamp Thing number 37 from 85 and a 9.8. This is a nice book. Now, in a case like this, I'll show you a flaw that they kept as a manufacturer's defect. You can see this hump around the staple right in here. You can see it's humped up. It's like that because the staple was put in shallow to the paper. And so even though it's caused some stress lines around where that staple goes through, they know that those stress lines are caused by the way the staple went into the paper, so they don't count that as a flaw against the book. Our second ASM 300, this one in an 8. This one we did expect it to be an 8. It had some, what are we gonna call it? Longer color breaks. So. And heavier color breaks. So when the color breaks start to come in farther, like that, you can see it comes farther in there. Then they count those as color breaking creases and not just spine ticks. And you'll also see here that both staples, you can see these color breaks from what this staple wear, color breaks on the front. So an 8, obviously in an ASM 300, doesn't mean it's still obviously a nice book, a nice book to have. Marvel Superheroes Secret Wars number 8. That's a mouthful in a respectable 9.8. We sent in a few of these for a customer, and they came back as expected. I think they might have overall come back slightly better. We got a nice spread all in the 9s on those. So we got 2 9.8s and a 9.6. And the 9.6 had a it has a color break in the blow. Well, first of all, you take a look at the corner, you'll see there's corner wear, and there is a little color break between the spine and the price box in there. So 9.6. Actually, 9.6 might be a little generous on that, given those two types of flaws. And then we got a 9.4. So, pardon me. The 9.4, again, you'll see it has the corner wear. It's got a rounded corner. Got a little bit of staple wear. You can see that hole there where the staple goes in, how the hole's wider. You got some staple wear. And there's even some very I don't know if you'd be able to see this on camera. Some very slight discoloration. Yeah, it doesn't show up on the top edge. So watch out for staple wear, or the hole around the staple where it goes into the cover. If that hole is widened out because the cover's been roughly handled over time, that will get you flagged. Sensational She-Hulk number 34 in a 9.8. Obviously, this is that whole series of covers. Now, this is a case where I'm going to show you something that people will say, these you can't get 9/8 with these, but you're going to see right in here under the price box. See that little puffing, that little white thing? That's puffing from when they folded the spine over. Sometimes you'll see it down the entire spine will be all white and cracked and puffing. That doesn't mean that it's going to keep you out of a high grade result. A lot of that is from the way that the process folds the books in the manufacturing process. Amazing Spider-Man 361 in a 9.8. This is also another case where the staples went in shallow and have created these little humps in the paper, which didn't get downgraded. And that's common in books from that period. Staple variation, well, even going back farther than that, staple variation is very common. Sometimes staples become, through the front, through the back, all sorts of weird places you wouldn't think could happen, but the manufacturing process wasn't as tight as it is now. Now here is a nice book, and the owner of this book, who got a 9.9 in this Venom #1 Crane variant, this is their first 9.9, so welcome to the club. I've only ever gotten, personally, a 9.9 for my collection. This is now the fourth 9.9 I've gotten for clients. So they certainly aren't very common, but that's a pretty cool. That's a pretty cool cover, and I'm sure that they're going to be very excited. Amazing Spider-Man #1 Black Flag Comics Convention Edition, which is obviously the homage cover of 300 in a very nice 9.8. And people will say, 9.8 not perfect, and I would normally say for a 9.8, to get a 9.8, it should, to the naked eye, should look perfect, even if it might not be. This is a case where either they let this flaw pass, or they decided it wasn't really a flaw. But there is see if we can get it so that you can see it and make sure I'm looking at the right spot here. Might not be able to see it in here. There's actually a slight, you can just slightly make it out there. There is a white, there's like a paper crease in the white there, and you can see where it was. Now, whether that was from the manufacturing process or it got a crease after, we smoothed it out. Obviously, they didn't consider that to be an issue, or they considered it the only flaw in the book. Just a second, guys. Okay, we're back. Sensational She-Hulk number 60 in a 9.8. Again, part of that era of She-Hulk comics, which is actually very highly collectible. A lot of the She-Hulks in that run, the Sensational run, lots of people look to collect them, and we were lucky enough to get a nice high grade set of those, and then sent several off for grading, including this one, Sensational She-Hulk number 40. And I apologize for not having the overhead camera on, so let me fix that for you and quickly just show you this one again. That's the Sensational She-Hulk number 60 that we were just talking about. And the Sensational She-Hulk number 40 in a 9.8. Now, the interesting thing here is there is a color defect in the cover here. You can see which is obviously a printing or manufacturing defect. So no effect on the overall grade. Okay, so now we're going to get into the first book that was a surprise, not the grade, but the result. So we have an X-Men number 9 in an 8.5 restored label, unfortunately. And the restoration is small amount of color touch on cover and top edge trimmed. The top edge trimmed obviously is the bigger issue of that. I have as far as the color touch stuff goes, it's my opinion that if they just say small amount of color touch on cover and they don't give you any indication where it is not color touch. We have had other books that have said that. We have found what they believe was the color touch, and it was just simply like a heavier spot of printer's ink. And we've sent those books back to get redone, and they've come back blue label. So if they don't tell you where the color touch is, they just say on cover. They don't even say front, back, anywhere. You may want to just send those back in, or you could even, I guess you could send them to CCS for restoration removal. Now the top edge trimmed, that's obviously not something that can be fixed. And we've even been measuring some books and had clients measure them, and because of the inconsistencies in the print sizes at the time, it's almost hard to tell if they have been trimmed because their sizing is so, they can have so much variety in sizing. Silver Surfer number 1 in an 8.5. This particular one, we did review the grader's notes on this. I'm not surprised it's 8.5. You'll see down here, it's got a fairly long color breaking crease in here. It has color breaking creases that are fairly long across there. It's got a few other color breaks on the spine. And it has some it's hard to see, you won't see it in the camera, some very slight discoloration on the back. So probably 8.5 is likely a fair grade for that book. Maybe on a good day you get away with a 9, but that color break line is pretty long. So that is likely a fair grade. Now this is the other one where we got a surprise, and again, no information back on the grading. So another 8.5 Silver Surfer number 4, restored. Restoration includes a small amount of cover touch on cover, with no indication where anywhere on this cover that color touch might be. Now, again, as far as the actual grade goes, I would say it's pretty accurate. You're going to see here, creasing on the corner, color breaking creasing, a fairly long color breaking crease there, and then up here you're going to see cover wear, where I won't say significant, but decent amount of color has worn off of that. So I would say the grade is probably legitimate. Color touch, in my experience, there probably is no color touch. So we'll have to discuss with the customer what they want to do about that. This book obviously is worth having that corrected. So in a case like this where they won't tell you, you can do one of two things. You can send it back yourself, crack it, take a closer look, send it back. Or you send it to CCS for restoration removal, and hopefully they have some super hidden grader's notes, tells you where it is, and they just go in and they're going to chip it out and regrade it, and you just hope that it doesn't affect the grade of the book. So the customer will have to make a decision on that. Obviously that book is, really needs to be blue label to maximize its value. So here's a nice book, Giant Size X-Men number 1 in an 8.5. 8.5s were hot and heavy that day. Now, this is a book where we sent it in and we weren't sure how they were going to hit this this mark on the bottom. You can see this staining or whatever this is on the bottom, and I checked the grader's notes, and that is what they hit. There's also a little bit. This is not on the surface of the paper. This is in the paper. So they did hit that staining a little harder. Sometimes you don't know how they're going to hit that, which is too bad because, I mean, otherwise, as you guys can see, this is a pretty, like, even up here, like, this is a really nice looking copy other than that staining on the bottom. Now, hey, an 8.5 is nothing to sneeze at. That's still a really nice grade in a GSX. It's just too bad about that discoloration there at the bottom. Maybe on a nice day, maybe you get a 9 if you catch a grader in a good mood. But that's never a case. X-Men number 49, first Polaris and Mesmero, Origin of Beast, in an 8. And this one is an 8 because of foxing and staining in the paper along the spine. I'll show it to you guys here. There, you can see it here. So you can see this. It almost looks like a rust staining in the paper, but you'll see here that staining and discoloration comes all the way along through there. So I did check the notes on that. Plus, you're going to see on the back, same thing. You're going to see all this foxing, staining along this edge, and there's even some staining and foxing on top. So again, a case where the grade, in my opinion, is probably fair. Actually, an 8 is probably slightly generous grade on that book, given that the amount of discoloration. X-Men number 50, second appearance of Polaris, in an 8.5. So we've done quite a few of these books recently. Seeing a lot of these come through. These books are actually really nice to work on. I don't know, certain paper and certain batches is just really nice. And this one, I'm pretty sure that when we looked it up, it got hit with a staining, either foxing or staining or something. And I think they might have been a little harder on this one because there is some discoloration on the spine. You can see this yellowing, this foxing on the spine across here, but it's not as bad as the other one. And you can actually see how it's a little more discolored going up in there. And if you take a look on the side of the price box, you can see, there it goes. You can see that right on the edge, it's hard to see on camera, but there's some discoloration in there as well. So in my opinion, this one probably should have been a little bit higher, especially compared to the other one. Maybe this one probably should have been a 9, but based on their technical grades, I guess that's just where it came in. And a couple of cool just oddities here. So Space Western Comics number 45. The last issue of the Space Western, and bizarrely enough, there's a Hitler appearance in this comic. Now it's 1953, so Nazis and Hitler did appear in many comics around that era, and there certainly is a pop culture collectability to those, where comics reflect sort of the politics of the era. And 1953, 2.5, only with like a piece missing out of the cover. That's not a bad deal. And then again, this one's from 1955, and this is just I'll pick a pretty cool cover. So you got Little Dot number 11. 1955, with a lot of backup story. But even though this book is only a 3.5, because of, you can see there's a fair amount of creasing in here, But overall, the colors in here and the character and the yellow and the reds were just so so bright that we thought that that was a nice book to get graded even under 3.5. Just something cool to have. So there you go, guys. So that's what we have. If you had books in this, we'll be reaching out to you to let you know you have books ready for pickup. If you are the owner of the books that came back with the restored information, and you see this before we email you, just check your email. We're going to give you the information and to see what you would want to do with that one book that potentially could be sent back to CCS for restoration, removal, and the rest of it. Okay, so I hope everyone enjoyed this video and enjoys the rest of your weekend. Have a great day. Ciao.